Lexus gave us this Atomic Silver 2015 IS350 F-Sport for a week. My journey for the weekend was a farm in central Pennsylvania, far from its natural element. All IS350 models receive a 306 horsepower, 3.5-liter V6. If you're lucky enough to get a rear-wheel drive like this, it'll be mated to an 8-speed automatic. Sorry, all-wheel drive buyers, but you get the previous generation's 6-speed automatic. Most IS models I pass on the road are the second generation all-wheel drive. I own one of those too, so I was excited to experience the latest from Lexus and get to turn off the traction control, toss the selector in sport, and hit the road. The open rear differential meant that we couldn't get the car too sideways on these farm roads, and our attempt at a burnout, similar to those in the recent Lexus commercials, was futile. The engine builds power very smoothly though, a nice trait of the naturally aspirated V6. The electric steering, like in most cars, is incredibly light at low speeds, something most journalists ding, but I enjoyed. Steering feedback isn't bad. It didn't stand out as great, but rarely is it in any car that's not a fully sporting pretension. The S-Sport features Lexus Adaptive Variable Suspension, or AVS. It's precise though, a tad on the harsh side for the ride. Then again, if you're ticking the S-Sport box, you probably know what you're in for. Inside, it's much tighter than your average mid-size sedan, and that's a good thing. Lexus went the opposite direction compared to most open-air luxury interiors, and gave us a more driver-focused cabin with a center stack that reminds me of an Acura NSX. The steering wheel and instrumentation gauges may have been pulled straight from the mighty LFA, and it's a touch gimmicky. I love to show them off. My 11-year-old son thought it was incredibly cool, and that's rare with a car like this. The Hvac controls were all easily accessible and easy to use. The infotainment screen was clear, and switching between music sources was a breeze thanks to the mouse-like controller that made navigating the system a bit more natural than spinning a dial. The back seats are much less exciting. They're comfortable, with good legroom and headroom is ample. Nothing fancy to play with. I should mention that our car had fold-down rear seats, something our long-term 328i BMW lacks. Trunk space in the IS350 seemed about on par with the competition. So how do we like our time in the IS350 F-Sport? I pulled off to contemplate that exact thought on the final night it was in our hands. Turns out we liked it a lot. Lexus has been attempting to establish their F line as a legitimate alternative to the M and AMG badge. For those who are unfamiliar, F is to M as S-Sport is to M-Sport. Got it? Compared to the last 328 M-Sport I drove, and remember we have one in the RFD garage, the IS350 F-Sport clearly has the tighter suspension, and I felt like it accelerated faster, but the rear-wheel numbers show that the 328 is nipping right at its heels. Our IS350 F-Sport sprinted to 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, the 328i just a tenth behind. From a styling standpoint, to say the IS stands out is an understatement. Between the Predator grille, which grew on me the more I looked at it in person, and the creases and folds along its side, reminded me of a Japanese anime cartoon. Cool, but a bit different. Will different be enough to sell cars? That remains to be seen. BMW sells around 100,000 3 Series each year in the US. Lexus has struggled to sell a third as many IS sedans. However, the first year of the redesign, 2014, sold over 50,000. And Lexus has already sold more ISs in the first 9 months of 2015 than they did of all of 2013. So we may have a legitimate hit on our hands. Time will tell, but regardless, we enjoyed our time in the latest IS350 F-Sport.